Hey guys, how's it going? So we're currently on Osceola, trying to plant some corn here. We have no GPS, really hoping that comes out sometime soon. Playing with a couple of custom moddings equipment. Got the Americanized 8RT with the Great Plains black rims. So I've been kind of plugging away, converting this map, adding some new features. It was actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Pretty painless. None of the crops converted over. The only thing that came over in the fruit density map was grass. So gonna have to repaint in a lot of crops or just leave it blank. But there's a lot to figure out because there's really no animal husbandries anymore. Fields are different. Everything is kind of like a buyable land, but you still need the fields. All my animation triggers don't really work right now, so like the doors and lights. But the main thing is converting the map terrain. That's done. Still working on getting all the fields converted, the land to buy. Working on some triggers. The shop is functioning. So a lot of the hard stuff is done. The only thing I don't like about these 19 is I think they really mess with the trees and the textures. So the trees looked worse than they did in 17, but everything else is looking improved. The one thing I wasn't expecting is how smooth the Giants editor, the 8.1 is. Giants editor back in 17, especially on this map, when you're doing dynamic interactive placement of hundreds of thousands of trees and power lines and fences, and all that has to kind of re-render every time you kind of place a new item. It would kind of take a while to load, and it's lightning fast. And not only that, but it has the same shader lighting in the editor, so you can actually see what things will actually look like in game. So that's really cool. I really wasn't expecting that. That's a nice surprise. They actually fixed something. Yeah, Wind Chaser, that's like the old ex that you never talk to anymore. You just kind of move on. Or it's like your first job, you get paid to make mistakes on someone else's dime and then you move on. Yeah, me and Jake have hundreds if not thousands of hours on that map. Good times. But one nice thing is the same script that you used in 17 to kind of increase your viewing area and terrain area worked. So it's pretty easy to. Last time when I was trying to convert this map from 15, the very end of 15 when I started building it, I couldn't even work on it because there wasn't a way to see anything in the Giants editor. So literally like day one, I was able to convert this map over, or at least get started on it. I started converting some implements, just try to get my feet wet with the whole modding for 19, and it goes pretty easy, especially if you had a properly formatted mod in 17. The cloud converter converts it over pretty easily. The only thing is the lights. The lights look like they're formatted correctly in the XML, and there's no errors in the GE log or the game log. But the lights they stay on and the blinkers flash, and so I'm not real sure what's going on there. It's using the emissive light shader for 19 out of the data folder, so I don't know. I've seen a couple people that have someone converted my Tiger Mate cultivator and they just made the lights invisible. They pretty much just gave up, so I'm not sure if it's an error that they're going to patch or if they're going to support, or because I'd imagine that if you have the lights properly formatted for 17 and the cloud converter converts it and changes the lines and everything and the shaders, that it should work, but it's not, so that's that. Oh, Dylan hasn't figured out? Good to know. Kind of spent some time today looking at what can be wrong, what's wrong with them. But I just converted those things today, so I haven't had much time to kind of experiment. You know, I can't remember the last time I had to use ridge markers on a planter. I mean, we got a globe on here. Giants should really have integrated GPS. See, Giants ridge markers don't even flex, so I don't feel so bad about my Great Plains drill box that didn't have flexing ridge markers, because these don't even flex. So we're planting this field of corn right now. Yeah, we all miss GPS. I see that the guy that works for Giants that made Seasons, the real Sims, he's working on it for 19, which is going to be amazing. But GPS is great. The thing about GPS is it makes us all super lazy, and we don't really have to pay attention to what we're doing, which is nice because it's kind of the whole point of the game, is kind of be chill and relaxing. Oh, I also converted the cloud converter converted my work areas and my implements incorrectly. So the cloud converter is pretty sketchy. It gets everything like 85, 90%, and then you have to fix the other, 10 or 15%. Like you have to add in the wear lines. You have to change the working. You have to add in an extra line to the work area so they actually work. Um, Real Sims, that's the same guy that he works at Giants. He's the main creator there. It's the same guy. Although I think it was a team of 3 individuals. Um, so it could be all 3 of them working on it still, but yeah, that mod was so complex. I don't know how you could do anything but start from scratch on it. But that was bar none the best best mod this game's ever seen. I mean, how do you have agriculture without seasons? It totally changed the game. I always used to think that the MR engine and soil mod was game changing in 13, and it was, but I think seasons was even a more dramatic improvement to the game. It really changed the whole game. Plus, it added a ton of really cool features with economies, and it was such a comprehensive overhaul. That the old modder is in cattle and crops. It's true, but I think the main guy behind Real Sims is working at Giants, and he was hired as a developer after the mod contest. It's the guy with the blonde hair. I'm not missing too much. Soil mod in 13, I think, was the best. Um, and I also think the MR engine in 13 was the best, especially when it came to combines, because the size of the combine mattered. The size of head you had mattered because you would be able to script in threshing and cleaning areas. Um, it'd be nice if they can bring that back. Because right now the difference between a big combine and a small combine essentially is tank capacity, and that's about it. Yeah, I mean, they're never gonna go heavy in detail. Just because this game, they're trying to appeal to such a broad audience, um, and if it gets too complicated, people won't spend time playing the game. But who really cares once you buy it, right? That's why we need, talented individuals who know farming and know how to code. You know, It must the people that work at Giants that know farming and know how to code or at least know farming. This game probably drives them crazy at some. They're probably always going into like their managers or like the marketing or whoever's in charge of like what gets implemented to the game. They're always probably going crazy. Like, we need this. This is stupid. Nice. Plant prosperity. We have unlocked an achievement. You can tell I haven't really been playing this game much. We just seeded 10 hectares. So I had to use the 3-point hitch because this great plane, if you use the trailer hitch, the turning radius is atrocious. Um, so they can definitely go ahead and fix that at some point. Good things Jake's here answering all these questions. Ban hammer. Um, One thing from a mapping perspective is I was hoping for a little bit more in terms of buildings, like just generic static buildings, American buildings, because Giants always does a really good job with, modeling houses and buildings and everything like that. And it's pretty disappointed in the amount of new buildings. And like for example, like the bridges and stuff, they don't even have a diffuse texture. It's like this bizarre array thing. I don't know. Those of us that learn how to mod in Blender are fucked. That's all I have to say. We're so screwed. So at some point, I'm gonna have to get a. I did buy a seed tender. I didn't buy a truck. Um, as far as I know, there's no map triggers where you can kind of refill like it used to be. I think you have to buy everything. I think the only in-game trigger is like a fuel, like the gas station. Um, Unless, of course, you get like a placeable, something that's placeable. Raphael did an amazing job on this 8RT edit. Well done. So I'm still trying to figure out the whole farmland in map thing. Oh, we're saving here. Yeah, I just kind of got my feet wet trying to convert a couple of my mods today with vehicles, and used the cloud converter as much as I could. All right, so it's loading the map here. It's telling us where everything's planted. If I go to lands, so this is kind of what I've been doing. This is all painted in land. I have my field boundaries I'm not really sure how to partition this because there's only so much layers you could do. It's like 62 or 65 or something, which is going to be enough, I think, for this. But for example, this field, and this field are all owned by the same farmer. Same with this one. I haven't got that yet. And I think one or two fields over here. So if you want to like buy this land in these fields, you'd have to buy them all at once. It doesn't really give you an option to buy the fields. You have to buy the whole land. So I don't know. I don't really fully understand how the whole land field relationship works. And it's really bizarre because you have to do everything with the info, like the navigation mesh layer, um, as far as I know. Yeah, that's the first thing I did is the farmland GRLE, converted it to a PNG, increased it to fit my 16x, and no issues. So when you're starting with the map conversion, you have to convert all the GDMs and GRLEs back to a PNG image. Then you're able to kind of proceed from there. And when you save the map in Giants Editor, it's going to create those new GRLEs and GDMs. So what I ended up doing is I actually exported my terrain from 17 as a i3D file. And then what I did is I copied lines from the blank map that came with the game over the lines on my exported i3D for the terrain. Because I have no idea how to create a new terrain that's 16x. I'm not really sure how they actually get the terrain to be larger. And then I just converted all of my GRLEs to PNGs and then referenced those back, and it seemed to work. Took about an hour, pretty painless. Definitely the hardest part of converting as a map is getting the terrain to function properly with all the fruits and wheat files. So everything after that's pretty straightforward. So I tried using the new patch, the 1.2 beta patch, and it really messed this game up. Anytime I would look over at the edge of the map, the game would just freeze. It would lock up. Anytime I was in the indoor cab, it would be a little okay, not as glitchy. Outdoor camera, it would lock up. And then if I would get out of a vehicle completely next to the border, it would be fine. So that 1.2 beta patch they have out is definitely broken when it comes to vehicle cameras in anything larger than a 1x map. And I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to export a lot of the farm buildings. I've only built 2 farms so far, which is great. That's a lot less work I have to do. And make the items like a placeable and just use the items XML for multiple farms. So when you load the game, that way the animation files are functioning, like the doors and lights and things like that. However, it sounds like they're going to be supporting the animations in this new patch, so I might hold off on doing that. So. I also think I'm going to bump up the clip distance on these trees. I think the clip distance in the trees on 17 were like 799 or 699. I think they were 799, almost 800, and these ones are 500 or something. So it's considerably less how many trees you can see. So I think I'm going to bump those numbers up just so I can see more trees in the distance. But this game is running so smooth. I remember in 17 it was kind of weird when I would record it would kind of stutter. Maybe that was because of the Seasons mod. I mean, it was a heavily modded game at that point. This game is pretty much bare bones with just a couple vehicle mods. So, I mean, I expect it to run really smooth. Do I think they'll implement a GPS? Yeah, eventually. One of these versions they have to. Although the hired workers are pretty stupid still. I imagine someone will keep converting over that GPS mod. They didn't release the script documentation yet. I think that was the first thing they did when 17 came out. They kind of released that right away. If I remember correctly, it was like within the first couple days or the day of, or maybe it was even before the game came out. It was really, really early. I don't think they've released the script documentation yet. They really haven't even opened up a FS19 thread on Giants Developer Network. My New Holland chopper, I really haven't touched it. I kind of stopped modding, spending my time modeling up vehicles about the 6-month mark before this game came out, because I didn't really want to waste my time making something that all of a sudden appeared in the game. I wanted to wait to see what was in the game before I would start modeling something again. And even though a chopper is a pretty good bet that they won't have it, they do have licensing with New Holland and Case. So there was a chance that, instead of spending another 50, 60, 100 hours or whatever it is finishing that mod, I'd rather spend it on my map instead. So that's kind of where my priorities went for the last couple months, and then I got bored of that and didn't really play or do much at all anyways. But when you're unsure of what to do, a map and modeling map objects is always a safe bet. Fom, I don't think you understand what the concept of a 16x map. You don't combine maps. So I think this is a good spot to kind of buy some seed. I don't know if this was from Raphael or not, but is the black? I don't know. The cab seems kind of funny how it moves. So I'm going to have to get a truck here. We're going to have to get a seed tender. We're going to top this guy off with some seed. This is 8370 RT, if you guys were wondering. Alright, so we're gonna have to get a truck. Let's try this lizard. Jet black. Black. That's too black. That's like a brown. Yeah, let's just go black. This thing is like a weird Honda Ridgeline Tacoma thing. Hopefully it has enough power to pull our tender. 8245 on the 2100 Ripper. Alright. Lizard. Getting slizzard. They had this beautiful underfirth seed tender. Then these shitty trucks to pull it. So I've never used this, so this should be interesting. Fasten. Oh, that's the truck. Unfold car. Interesting. This thing is like glitching out. Do I have to reset this thing or what? Let's reset that, okay. Oh, it's really glitching out. So I think that seed tender might be glitched. Because when you reset something, it's supposed to go back. Oh my god. Do I have to get out and do something? This is definitely not working with this truck. Alright, let's try this again. I don't think I've converted my shop triggers yet. Alright, let's try this again. Let's try it with this shitty little pickup. Thing sounds good. You know, it's so hard not to bash giants when their in-game equipment doesn't even work. Nope, same thing. So if you try to tab over, you can see the F1 menu just glitch. That's a real bummer. When you tab over to select tool, it just glitches out. You can see my icon when I tab. When I hit G, when I hit O, nothing goes back. When I hit N, okay, so I hit N. It's weird that it doesn't give us any kind of. So if you hit O, hit O again. So it doesn't really tell us anything. Alright, so we can get rid of this old beater. Alright, so chaos avoided. See, now it shows up in the F1 menu. If I do pipe out, pipe in. So what we're going to have to do is now we're going to have to buy some seed. We need to, let's buy it. So in order to get our to load, we want to hit N. Okay. And then we do refill hopper. Okay. So it's working. This thing looks like it can put in two, you can load it with seed and fertilizer. Let's see if we can buy a couple more of these. Let's buy it. Cool. The amount of detail they put into this tender is unreal. I think I'm going to have to convert over my Silverado. So, every little seed tender that was in the game previously was handled really, really poorly. These trailer hitch trailers were always notoriously terrible at handling in 15 and 17, but this seems to handle pretty well. This truck goes faster than my semi. So this unloads 2 seeds. I think we have to get in this to load it. So we had to open the cover to... Well, close enough. So then we want to go to our other seed. That's pretty cool, I gotta say. Let me put our pipe back. It's good to go. Why does this always turn off? Alright. Fly away, birdies! We are back in business. Our crop is still corn. We are ready to finish this field. Close our tanks. Start the air. Ooh. Squirrel it in. Wow, those birds came out of nowhere. Oh shit! My fuel is really low. Whoops! Maybe I should finish this last pass. Wow. Brad, you're right. Totally was not paying attention to that. This thing just pigs the fuel. Well. Looks like we're gonna have to bring this guy back and get a fuel trailer. I don't have the patience to buy a bunch of seed pallets and store them at our shed at the farm. We should do that. Seems to be a little bit better than it was in 17, but for the sake of time, oh my god. So this is the issue. The mod's converted. The light lines are fine. I mean, they're converted over properly as far as I know with the cloud converter, but the and it's using the in-game shader, emissive shader, but yet here they are blinking and flashing and they stay on. So that's what we're dealing with here. Oh, that thing's really glitching out here. So we have to go buy a fuel. It's probably in miscellaneous. Yep, there it is. Main color. Let's keep the black theme going. Okay, we have wheel options here. Oh, for sure, we're going with those. So now the question is, did I convert the gas station over correctly? First of all, there is a fuel tank over here. I didn't touch this fuel tank, so it's probably not going to work. But I did convert over a gas station. But I don't think I converted over the trigger for it. So nope, that doesn't work. So let's go for a drive. So here's where I kind of started adding bushes, went a little crazy. Lots of bushes. Who doesn't like a good bush? $70 miles an hour, damn. So much faster than my semi. The indoor sounds and idling sounds leave a lot to be desired. This is the back end of field 2, I think it is. Oh my god. So this trailer's pretty squirrely. So this is the field boundary, the real DM. Some trees. No bushes over here yet. Oh, here's where I started. I got over here at least a little bit. So, these bushes, since they're part of the fruit GDM, you know, these never existed, so I gotta paint them in. The fact that they're paintable is great, and they're plowable, which is even more great. So we're literally on the edge of the map. Too bad the satellite image is not as better. What is your infatuation with ditches? Of course there's ditches. Ooh, just blew past that. Oh, there's a ditch. There's another ditch. Ooh, look at that ditch. That's a good ditch. So we're going into town here. Going down Connie Road M. More bushes. Transformer station. Put in the new water tower. Looks really good. I like it. I actually just finished up these power lines, this spread of power lines yesterday. So I've been kind of and imported a bunch of buildings here. This is going to be, eventually it's going to be an industrial park, but I need to model up some factories and some parking lots. This is all housing development that needs to be developed. Newsflash, there isn't ditches along every road. In fact, there's very few. So just some placeholder houses for these developments. Started roughing in this trailer park here. bushes. This thing is getting real squirrely. So, this is our last shot at fuel. If this trigger doesn't work, because this is imported right from the map. Nope. Doesn't look like it. Looks like I missed the triggers. We did have this placeable. Miscellaneous. This thing. This Witty Camps Farms is he's an idiot. Goodbye. So we have no fuel, and I don't feel like buying. I don't feel like buying a placeable fuel, so I'm gonna have to fix that. So I'm gonna call it a night here, and I'm gonna have to add some of these triggers so I can actually refuel my tractor. So thanks.